All right, they're coming. Reciprocal taxes, not for me and you, but for other countries who have been taking advantage of the United States of America for a very, very long time. Those days are over. Us getting ripped off. Some call it a trade war. I call it smart. Take a look.
We want a level playing field for all American workers. We want a level playing field for the United States of America. I've instructed my Secretary of State, my Secretary of Commerce, Secretary of the Treasury, and the United States Trade Representative to do all the necessary work to deliver reciprocity. In other words, reciprocal reciprocity to our system of trade. So we're going to have a reciprocal tax. Whatever they charge, we charge. If they don't let us in, we're going to determine a value for that. But overall, it's going to be a very simple system. Whatever they charge, we charge. So nobody can complain. I don't think anybody can complain. And I'm going to sign this. And the numbers are going to be very fair, but staggering. They're going to be large, but very fair.
And he's been talking about this for decades. You know, you look at some politicians, they really do change their tune, whichever way the wind is blowing. This is something that is in his bones and his blood. It has made his blood boil, going all the way back to 1988. That is 37 years ago on the Oprah Winfrey Show.
You took out a full-page ad in major U.S. newspapers last year criticizing U.S. foreign policy. What would you do differently, Donald?
I'd make our allies, forgetting about the enemies you can't talk to so easily, I'd make our allies pay their fair share. We're a debtor nation. Something's going to happen over the next number of years with this country, because you can't keep going on losing $200 billion, and yet we let Japan come in and dump everything right into our markets and everything. It's not free trade. If you ever go to Japan right now and try to sell something, forget about it, Oprah. Just forget about it. It's almost impossible. They don't have laws against it. They just make it impossible. They come over here, they sell their cars, their VCRs, they knock the hell out of our companies. And, hey, I have tremendous respect for the Japanese people. I mean, you can respect somebody that's beating the hell out of you, but they are beating the hell out of this country.
And it is impossible to find another American president in history who has been so consistent throughout his life. And then an interesting prediction about what would happen if he ever ran for president.
You've said, though, that if you did run for president, you believe you'd win.
Well, I don't know. I think I'd win. I tell you what, I wouldn't go in to lose. I've never gone in to lose in my life. And if I did decide to do it, I think I'd be inclined, I would say that I would have a hell of a chance of winning, because I think people, I don't know how your audience feels, but I think people are tired of seeing the United States ripped off. And I can't promise you everything, but I can tell you one thing, this country would make one hell of a lot of money from those people that for 25 years have taken advantage. It wouldn't be the way it's been, believe me.
She gets it, and everybody else does now. And if the cable news, CNN, and the rest, they don't, it doesn't matter, because the world is going to have to react. These are amazing times. And there's another little twist here for those who aren't down with what's going on. Everybody seems to say they like bipartisanship, right? Democrats and Republicans working together. Isn't that supposed to be the ideal, Governor Schwarzenegger?
I always feel like that through dialogue and by sitting down with each other, not seeing the other side as the villains, I think it's very important that we always stress that, because especially today, where in America, you know, the Democrats hate the Republicans hate the Democrats. There's people within the Republican Party that are more to the right, they hate them. And there's people on the left in the Democratic Party that they are also hated within the party. And so there's all of this hatred and dislike going on. And so what I'm saying is basically, you know, I got much further when I was governor by working together with the Democrats, by letting them know they're not the enemy, that I am a strong believer that if we want to go and make California successful or America successful, we can do this the best possible way by having Democrats and Republicans work
blah,
together.
blah, 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 blah. Just a bunch of words from the governor, right? It sounds great. Bipartisanship, working together. He didn't do it. He actually came out as the most vicious anti-Trump, the biggest Trump hater in the world. But look who's acting in a bipartisan way. It is Trump. In big ways and small. The small ways, well, actually hooking up a guy like Eric Adams, the mayor of New York City, calling off the prosecution, telling the DOJ to stop hassling this Democrat. Could you ever, in a million years, imagine Joe Biden telling the DOJ to back off on a Republican? It wouldn't happen. Democrat Blago, Ron Blagojevich, pardoned by President Trump. Yeah, he's no longer a Democrat, but did he leave the Democrat Party formerly? He was a Democrat governor of Illinois. He was screwed over. Donald Trump doesn't care that he was a Democrat. He knows he was a victim. And look at this. In the Oval Office, President Trump today made Tulsi Gabbard, they're partners for a long time now, Tulsi Gabbard and Donald Trump on the campaign trail, and now she is the Director of National Intelligence. She was a Democrat, even when she was a Trump supporter. It's pretty amazing. And then there is the newest member of the cabinet, Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Congratulations, Mr. Secretary.
All right. Congratulations, Mr. Secretary. Congratulations, Cheryl Hines from Curb Your Enthusiasm and beyond. He's a legendary Democrat, RFK was. And Donald Trump doesn't care. It's kind of really cool. Look, Donald Trump's no pushover, obviously. And when he had to, he played hardball with RFK.
RFK Jr., I call him Jr. By the way, he's radical left. Don't think about it. Don't waste your vote. We need a conservative person with common sense. This guy is radical left who destroyed New York. Kennedy's probably 50-50, but he's a fake. He's a fake. He's a total fake. You don't want to. He's more liberal than Joe Biden and all of these communists that work for him. I'd even take Biden over Jr. because our country would last about a year or two longer than it would with Jr. It would collapse almost immediately. And his family, a radical left, a crazy left, a bunch of lunatics.
Okay, well, that could get pretty intense, but it was politics. He was posing a bit of a threat, and that's okay. That happens in politics. It's more important what's happened since. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. came out with the most heartfelt endorsement of President Trump I have ever seen, and also a great solution for America's health crisis, especially regarding nutrition. That helped me clean up my diet a lot. People should watch that speech on YouTube. In my opinion, one of the best political speeches, actually, of the past, 10 years, 15 years. It was fantastic. And a relationship was born. Donald Trump and RFK, the fireworks, you name it. And look, he brings so much to the table. And he is a legendary Democrat. Became an independent, but, the Kennedy family and all that stuff, that means something. He's terrific on food.
I watched generations of children get sicker and sicker. I had 11 siblings, and I had 7 kids myself. I was conscious of what was happening in their classrooms and to their friends, and I watched these sick kids, these damaged kids. In that generation, almost all of them are damaged. And nobody in power seemed to care or to even notice.
Well, that's pretty impressive. A man that committed to the issues, not the position, not the perks. He wants to do something, not be something, and now he is the Secretary of Health and Human Services. And it's awesome. And how's it going to go down? How is this going to actually look, though? Because some of his ideas are, well, let's ask President Trump about that.
I understand the real reason that she's not here is she's hunting with her running mate, spending a lot of time hunting. In any event, it's a weird. You know the word weird. They call me weird. They call JD weird. We're very solid people. This guy is calling us weird, but this was weird that the Democrat candidate is not here and with us tonight. I want to also congratulate somebody who's going to make us all healthy. RFK Jr., we love you. I don't see him. He's campaigning all over the place. He's campaigning. You're all over. Hello, you both. Nice to see you both. You're doing a good job. He's a great guy, too. He really is. He's going to make us a healthier place. We're going to let him go wild for a little while. Then I'm going to have to maybe rein him back. Because he's got some pretty wild ideas, but most of them are really good, I think. He's a good man.
All right. So to be the great president I know he can be, and that I know he wants to be, and that he just is proving himself to be every day. He wants to go beyond the MAGA base, or make it good for everybody. And he works with Democrats all the time. You can actually look at it in his book, Letters to Trump. You know, he had a friendship with Ted Kennedy, of all people. He can look beyond labels. He can look to those who know how to do something and get things done. I don't think it's at all in conflict with MAGA. It's like bringing them to us, but it's common ground at the same time. And I think it's pretty beautiful. All right, next, please.
We must cut out more non-essential government spending and root out more waste, and we will continue our efforts to reduce the number of employees in the federal workforce by 75,000. The budget plan I submit to you on February 8th will realize major savings by dismantling the Departments of Energy and Education and by eliminating ineffective subsidies for business.
Did you hear that? Ronald Reagan was planning to stop the Department of Education and Energy. Of course, they're still around, and they're even bigger. A lot of Republicans have said they wanted to do that. Only Trump is really making it happen by giving his Secretary of Education marching orders. Have you seen her? Linda McMahon, made famous by, wrestling, right? She was kind of amazing. She even got in the ring there herself a couple of times. She's making a great case for America's children, not for the swamp, but for the students.
The bottom line is because it's not working. Working with state administrators, teachers, parents who should have input into their curriculum. Women should feel safe in their locker rooms. They should feel safe in their spaces. Listen to parents, not politicians.
How about that one, huh? Very, very well done. I think she should be confirmed any moment now. Elon Musk will be heading over to the Department of Education, we're told, pretty soon. And speaking of Elon, let's do what we call our daily DOGE. There are cool things happening from the Department of Government Efficiency every day. And sometimes there's so much happening that we might miss something. All right, you heard about all those condoms that were going to Gaza. Oh my goodness gracious. They weren't going to Gaza. They were going to some other part of the world. Scandal of the century, right? I just love the way Elon Musk handles this. Check it out.
You said on X that an example of the fraud that you have cited was $50 million of condoms was sent to Gaza. But after fact-check this, apparently Gaza in Mozambique, and the program was to protect them against HIV. So can you correct the statements? It wasn't sent to Hamas, actually. It was sent to Mozambique, which makes sense why condoms was sent there.
Yeah.
And how can we make sure that all the statements that you said were correct, so we can trust what you say?
Well, first of all, some of the things that I say will be incorrect and should be corrected. So nobody's going to bat 1,000. I mean, we will make mistakes, but we'll act quickly to correct any mistakes. I'm not sure we should be sending $50 million worth of condoms to anywhere, frankly. I'm not sure that's something Americans would be really excited about. And that is really an enormous number of condoms, if you think about it. But if it went to Mozambique instead of Gaza, I'm like, okay, that's not as bad, but still, why are we doing that?
Great point. I love it. The acknowledgement of a little teeny itsy witsy mistake, all right? Wrong country, but same difference. And guess what, people in the media? People misspeak. People say the wrong thing. It doesn't, you guys blow it out of proportion. What about the mistakes you guys make? So I like that a lot. And I like, condoms shouldn't be going anywhere. They call it soft power, ironically enough. America has to spend all this money to enhance its soft power. Let's stick with the hard stuff, shall we?
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.